Welcome to With Honors, the Honors College podcast from Harding University. I'm Max Sandlin, and our question today is...
So my question is, do businesses exist to make a profit or to make the world a better place? Or is it both or none of the above?
Well, for this, I thought it'd be good to have as a guest Dr. Rich Brown from the College of Business. Tell us about yourself and what you do at Harding.
Okay, well, like Max says, my name is Rich Brown, and I'm the chairman of the marketing department over in Coba. I've been teaching at Harding since 2008. Before I became an educator, I worked in life insurance. I worked in the health club industry, sales management, sales positions. I taught at Freed Hardeman before coming here. That's about it.
What about don't you have interaction with the entrepreneurship program on campus as well?
Well, I'm not directly involved with the Waldron Center. I talk with students who are involved in it sometimes. There have been times when I've worked with students on the marketing part of their project.
Very good, very good. So the question is, what's a business for? These kind of questions are always fascinating to me when we're asking not just what do I do today or a practical thing, but a kind of philosophical question. What are we doing here? What's the purpose of this? And they're asking about a business in particular. So I think about, someone who wants to start a salon or I have a little hot sauce business or whatever it is, a health club. And you say, why do you want to do this? What's this for? What's your kind of gut instinct when somebody asks that question? What's a business for?
Well, that depends who you ask. I think if you ask a person who opens a restaurant, it's probably it's for feeding people and creating a nice environment where people can celebrate or get a quick meal, depending on the type of restaurant. From a business person's perspective, it's generally to meet a need. There's something that is not being done or not being done well, and a person says, I can do that. And actually the world will be a better place because I'm meeting this need. It's also to make a profit.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. Profit is just a sign that you're doing something useful and you're doing it efficiently enough that you can pay all of the costs associated with it. You can pay for the materials, you can pay for the processing, you can pay for the shipping, you can pay all the labor, you can pay your taxes. And after everything's been paid for, there's money left over. That's what profit is. If there is no profit, that's a sign that you're either being very inefficient, well, you're not doing it efficiently, or you're doing something that nobody wants done. It's just a sign that, hey, maybe you either need to do this differently, or maybe you should stop.
I like the idea that businesses exist to meet a need. An entrepreneur or somebody, even who's going into business already, there's an existing company. But especially when one's starting, seems like the first thing you got to have is an idea. And that usually comes because you look around and you go, I wish there was X, and there's not. I'll just make that happen, and I bet other people will agree with me.
Right.
And so there's kind of a social awareness that comes with this. But I think also about I guess it's different when you're talking about starting or running a business versus making an investment. Okay, I come into a little money and I say, what do I want to do with this? I'm going to buy a rental house and I'll make some money in real estate. Well, is an investment different where there it seems like the profit motive is larger than in an entrepreneurship kind of situation, you think, or does it matter?
Well, if we think about capitalism, the word capital, that's the money and the physical assets that are used to do things. And let's say you just put your money in the bank to keep it safe and maybe earn a little interest. Well, a bank's biggest service really is to help allocate capital to people who are in business or who want to do things like buy a car. Suppose one of us decides to open a restaurant, but we don't have the money to do it.
I hope it's an Indian restaurant, because I really think we need an Indian restaurant in this town.
Well, I probably wouldn't be the guy to do that, but I've been to India.
So one of us wants to open a restaurant.
Yeah, so we go to the bank to borrow the money, and if the banker likes our business plan and we have good credit, The banker might lend us the money. If the banker says, look, your business plan is kind of shaky, I don't think you'll make it, the banker might turn us down. And that's actually a service to us because it prevents us from losing all that money and going bankrupt. And a bank that doesn't do a good job of deciding who to lend money to doesn't stay a bank very long. But that's really a great service because otherwise I'd have to go and find 10 different individuals who would believe I could run a restaurant, and that would be pretty inefficient. And what else? I guess you could take your money and put it under a rock.
Right. Though with inflation, we'd be losing money.
Exactly. Yeah, your money would lose its value, and it wouldn't be used productively while it was under the rock. It'd just be holding the rock up.
I like that. Your money's just holding the rock up. So when you think about an entrepreneur who wants to start a restaurant, is a good example here. Right? I'm going to start a restaurant because there's all we have is good Mexican restaurants and good barbecue in this town, but we don't have any, we don't have an Indian restaurant, or we don't have a pizza by the slice restaurant, or whatever you want to pick,
Actually, we do now.
Oh, that's right.
Sbarro.
Out in Judge Sonia. I went there the other day. They have pretty good meatball pizza. Anyway, so let's say we're going to start a restaurant. That feels like it's because, I have friends who own restaurants, and you can tell they started the restaurant because they like cooking, and they like serving, and they like hosting, and they like the idea of, as you said, providing a space for people. And what's motivating is they want it to be really cool and really good. But also think about like somebody who says, like the example of real estate, somebody says, I want to start an apartment complex, and I want to build it as cheaply as possible with the minimum, the safety standards are right here, and I'm going to go just half an inch above them so I save money. And it feels like all they're thinking is how to wring as much profit out of this as possible. Is there anything wrong with that?
Well,
morally or from a business point of view or whatever?
Well, let's just stipulate that happens.
Yeah.
It definitely does. Business is not any different from any other activity that people are involved in. Most athletes don't cheat, a few do. Most doctors don't commit Medicare fraud, a few do. Most counselors don't take advantage of their patients, a few do.
Yeah.
Even because most youth ministers would pray over their youth group, a few prey on their youth group.
Yeah.
Well, business is that way too. Most businesses meet a need and they do it well. They pay their employees, they pay their taxes, they provide jobs. A few businesses are run by crooks, but it's not unique to business.
That's certainly true.
It's newsworthy. It's socially desirable to point out when a business person does something like that.
So what if they're not doing something criminal? They're just not doing it well. Like they seem motivated by the profit to the detriment of like excellence or, providing a service to the community. I'm just about the like motivation of either the individual, like I'm a small thing like an individual, but also like large businesses where it feels like it's just the profit margin that's motivating them. Is there anything wrong with somebody who says, I'm just in, like I think of like our stock investing, like we put our money in retirement, TIA-CREF.
Yeah.
Well, I don't even look at the companies very often, the individual companies that I'm investing in. I don't feel like I'm part of their work and blessing the community. I just think I put money in and I hope I get more money back. Is there anything wrong with that? Or is that just part of the nature of the world, a morally neutral kind of thing?
Well, it's hard to give that a definitive answer, I think. Because some businesses are doing things that they shouldn't do. Some businesses take advantage of their employees. There's no doubt about that. We have minimum wage laws because otherwise wages in some industries would be really, really low.
Right.
But that's a function of the fact that there are a lot of people who can do that job. It's just supply and demand. If a lot of people can do a job, then it generally goes to the lowest bidder.
Sure. That's true for minimum wage jobs, but that's the same thing for high skilled jobs.
Yeah.
We tend to, if I'm playing the game from the employee's point of view, I want to get as much pay as I can.
Exactly.
But if I switch over and go look at it from the owner's point of view, I think like a restaurant, for example, man, the margins are tight. Most restaurants fail.
Yes.
And so it's a really risky thing that you're doing, and you got to be careful on all those things.
And the fact that you take the risk means that you deserve to benefit from it. That's what motivates you to take the risk. You know, guys do crazy things because they want their friends to think they're cool. There's always a reason for the action, and the benefits of taking the risk or the profit potential that's there. People who think, well, that's greedy, that's a terrible way to do business. Well, feel free to start your own business and do it your way. See how it works. It's a free country.
Yeah, I think about like our example of the person who's nervous about losing money, so they just put their money in the bank where it's secure, but their rate of return is very low.
Right.
And the person who says, I'm going to take a big risk. Maybe they invest in some, like a single stock, and that's a risk. But a bigger risk is to start a restaurant.
Yes.
And they're doing this usually because they see the potential for a higher return on their investment in terms of profit. But also think about, like, if you're running a business and you're following all the rules, but you're motivated exclusively or even like primarily by money, it feels like one of the things that happens is the business doesn't work as well.
No, you're right. I'm a big believer in the idea of conscious capitalism.
Tell me what that means.
Well, the way, and I think it's even taught here sometimes, is the idea that the purpose of business is to maximize shareholder wealth. And if you view business that way, then it makes sense to pay your employees as little as possible. View them as an input, not as an asset. It makes sense to take resources out of a community as much as you can and put back in as little as you can. I think that a company should view their employees as assets, and you invest in an asset, you train an asset, you take care of an asset, you treasure an asset. That's very different from your labor is a cost that I want to minimize. Communities provide us our customers. They provide us our employees. They provide us our future. Why would you not want to take care of that?
Because, I mean, besides being a good human thing, you're saying this is good business.
Right. It's the right way to do business. I teach marketing from a golden rule perspective. I think marketing is about influencing people when you can't control them. That's really what we do. The best way that I can influence you without being able to control you is to get you to believe that I'm on your side, that I'm doing something to help you. And if I get to know your situation and I come up with a product that makes your situation better, whether it makes it more exciting, makes you feel more secure, makes you feel more attractive, makes you more healthy, whatever it is, if I've done that well, I don't have to trick you into buying it. I just explain it to you, make the case. And if I've done it really well, you'll buy it from me, even if you could buy it cheaper somewhere else, which doesn't make me greedy. That's what allows me to pay my employees well. If I'm competing on price because my product is just like everybody else's, well, I have to pay my employees like everybody else does too. I have to minimize my costs. But if I do well, it's not that I'm greedy, it's that I want to be able to be philanthropic. I want to be able to pay my employees well. I want to be able to invest in their future. I want my business to grow, not so that I have more money necessarily, but so that I can take care of more customers.
Yeah, I think about that as like this picture you painted is just beautiful. I mean, that would be amazing.
And that's most small businesses.
I think that, and I was going to say, that seems like, I think about my friends who are business owners, and they know their employees, and they oftentimes, they'll tell me what's going on, and I think, isn't that bad for your business? You're bending over backwards. Why would you? Well, she's been with us a long time, that kind of thing. Do you think that changes as you get up to scale? Like, is Chase Manhattan run that way?
Well, I don't know about
Walmart
that.
Corporation, as you get like a larger business, does it change it?
I think Costco is. I think Trader Joe's is. I think Aldi's is. Aldi's Trader Joe's, same parent company. I think there are plenty of businesses that are operated that way. It obviously changes when you have thousands of employees as when you have tens. of employees. You really can't know thousands of employees
Right.
any more than you can know thousands of customers. You can do it with databases. So certainly things change, but if a business becomes too abusive, employees leave, customers leave. So sometimes in the short run, it looks like being dirty wins, but in the long run, being dirty doesn't pay.
That's good. I like that idea that we're not. I mean, I'm an ethicist, so I'm thinking about the morality of this and how does this contribute to human flourishing? Or as a Christian, I'm thinking about how would God have us do this well. But I also like pointing out, as you're saying, this is just not good business.
Right.
To treat your employees poorly or take advantage of customers. I think about like this phenomenon of, I won't name any names, but there's a particular retailer that I used to shop at, and if you needed to return anything, like maybe you buy some clothes and it doesn't fit and you need to return it, oh man, it was a huge hassle to return it. And it felt like what they were doing was everything they could to not help you out so you didn't return it. And I think, well, they might have saved some money on that return, but I just don't shop there anymore.
Well, why does a business do that? Let me tell you about something that happened to me when I was working in retail.
Mm-hmm.
I sold some very, very expensive clothes to a guy that didn't, I'm stereotyping, but he didn't look like he really needed those clothes. That wasn't part of his normal thing. It was after Christmas. He returned them shortly after New Year's, and they smelled like they'd been rolled around in an ashtray. He had bought his clothes
for
a New Year's Eve party, and then he brought them back, and the store took them back, but they couldn't sell them.
Right.
The store took a loss on that one, and that's why some stores get pretty tough on returns, because we think about the businesses trying to get one over on the customer, but
it goes the other way.
Sometimes the customers try to get one over on the business.
Absolutely.
Now, I personally think like it's worth it to take a few losses and to give people the benefit of the doubt. I mean, if my customers are all crooks, it's my fault because I chose them. I get to choose
you
my
marketed
target
to them
market.
and
Right.
so forth.
I made them my target market. That's my bad.
Well, I think about this question when we think about business. Lots of times, as you said earlier, profit margin just profit in general is such a huge piece of it. You can't run a business if there's no profit because you got to eat as a business owner. And if there's no profit, you can't pay your employees, you can't give raises, you can't sponsor the local little league team, or all the different things that businesses do. But it also seems like when we talk about business, it's easy for profit to be the only thing we talk about, or the only measure of it. What do you have like practical steps that you say, I would tell my students, or I would tell small business owners with whom I'm consulting, here's some things to do to avoid letting profit capture your imagination such that you lose all the real benefits of what a business is for?
Well, one thing is don't chase profit. Profit is a result of having done the right things. It can't. I mean, that's the way the best profit is made. You can have profit as your purpose. Eventually, that becomes a cancer, and cancer kills its host when it runs its full course. Don't pursue profits. Let profits come from the good things that you do. Let me. I'm not exactly going to answer your question right now because I've got these statistics with me and I want to bring them out.
Oh yeah, please, let's hear them.
Just kind of to show the impact of business. The businesses really grew and became organized large forces around the year 1800, Industrial Revolution start. Well, 200 years ago, around 1800, 85% of the population of the globe lived on less than $1 a day. That's less than 15% now. For centuries, life expectancy was about 30. Some people lived to be older than that, but a lot of people died when they were babies.
Infancy, pregnancy, yeah, right.
Today, life expectancy globally is 74 years. That trajectory changed in about 200 years ago. Roughly 200 years ago, 1 in 10 person could read. Today, 1 in 10 person can't read.
And dropping all the time.
Right. I mean, that's exactly. Gross domestic product in South Korea has grown over 260 times since 1960. Compare that with North Korea. What's the difference in those?
The nature of
those
the
two
way
countries.
the economies are allowed to, like, can you start a business as you want? Can
South
you run it as you
Korea is
want? Yeah.
overflowing with businesses. North Korea has essentially no businesses except, I mean, they have subsistence businesses. You remember when Ms. Park was here
Yes,
and
right.
talked about eating bugs off the ground? Well, you don't have that in countries that have developed economic systems. I've got some more, but I don't want to just read all these things to you. The population of the Earth reached 1 billion in 1804. Today it's, what did I say? It's 8.4. 8.4 billion. And that just happens to track right along with the growth of business and the real kickoff of capitalism.
I really like the point that I think your statistics are implying here that does speak to our question, which is not only are businesses properly for the blessing of the world and the community, but they got a pretty good track record.
Exactly.
Plenty of excesses, as you said earlier. Not everybody does right. There's all sort of ways which greed or corruption poisons business just like any other industry. But man, I sure am glad we've got small businesses and large corporations too, even.
You remember back in January when it was so cold?
Yes.
Did you worry about freezing to death at night?
No.
No. Did you build your house?
No.
No. Did you make the blankets that you slept under?
Exactly.
What'd you have for breakfast this morning?
Well, just a cup of delicious coffee. So.
Well, did you grow the beans?
Right,
Did you bring them up here from Central America?
No way.
That was
Ethiopian coffee.
Okay, well, that's even better.
Right.
That was a business that did that. I've had two different cancers that could have killed me. I was treated by doctors who were in a business. They were in the business of medicine.
And the medicines produced by pharmaceutical companies.
And the pharmaceutical companies, which we love to hate because the medicines are so expensive. Well, medicines are expensive, but the reason they're expensive is something has to pay for the costs of all the medicines they tried to develop,
R&D stuff,
but they couldn't develop. Those medicines are not profitable. And compare the cost. Well, I spent a lot of money on this medicine, but I lived, and I didn't live in pain, and maybe I didn't have to have a major surgery. So, and nobody has to take medicine. If you think the medicine's too expensive, well, feel free to turn it down. It's a choice you can make.
One of the things that I just as we're kind of landing the plane here, I think that is a real takeaway to our question. What I'm hearing you say today, Rich, is what's a business for? It's for blessing the world, blessing the community, blessing yourself even. Just it's good for all of us, and profit's a piece of that.
Right.
And there's nothing wrong with making a profit, but if you aim at the profit, you're going to end up not doing your business as well as you ought to,
right.
Not blessing the world as well, and eventually what I hear you saying is not having as much profit in the long run. And that feels like a pretty strong message for students who are thinking about entrepreneurship or for business owners that may be listening in today.
I think you did a really good job of summarizing that.
Well, I appreciate
very
you
well
being
done.
with us. Appreciate you being with us, and I hope you guys will tune in next time on With Honors.